news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The National Adverse Events Following Immunization Committee insists that the death of the health worker due to COVID-19 is not related to her previous inoculation with SINOVAC vaccines. To give us more updates on the latest FDA and NAFIC presser, Greg Gregorio is joining us live from Mandaluyong. Greg, what exactly was the cause of the death of the COVID-positive health worker?
Riza, according to the investigation conducted by the NAFIC, the death of the 47-year-old female health worker is due to COVID-19 infection. Dr. Romel Lobo, vice chairman of the NAFIC, said the health worker could possibly be incubating the SARS-CoV-2 virus during her vaccination on March 4. Thus, she manifested symptoms on the following day and tested positive for COVID-19 on March 8. And according to her health declaration form, she declared that she also have comorbidities like hypertension, diabetes, and bronchial asthma, making her a risk for COVID-19 infection. And on March 10, she was admitted at the hospital for her condition. And unfortunately, on March 13, she was reported to succumb to COVID-19. Riza?
Greg, do you have numbers like latest figures on reported adverse events on both SINOVAC and AstraZeneca?
Yes, Riza, according to the March 17 report, the total number of adverse events recorded so far is 7,469. 2.21% of which, or 3,616, is among those who have been given the first dose of Sinovac's CoronaVac. And a bigger chunk, or 5.19%, equivalent to 3,715 adverse events, were recorded among those who have been given the first dose of AstraZeneca shot. But Dr. Eric Domingo of the Food and Drug Administration said the total number of 7,469 adverse events is just 3.11% of the total number of vaccinated individuals of 240,297. And he even highlighted that most of these adverse events are common and mild, which are a fever, a body malaise, and other usual events that is recorded during inoculation. Riza?
Well, given those figures, will the FDA, Greg, move to stop the rollout of vaccines?
Well, Riza, it is the Department of Health who said that even with this report of death among inoculated health workers with first dose, the NAFIC's investigation said that the event is not related to the vaccine. Thus, there is no current reason for us to stop the ongoing vaccine rollout in the country. Riza?
Any other points or important details mentioned, Greg, earlier in today's presser?
Yes, Riza, our health authorities emphasized that the body of an individual who have been given the first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine would not immediately develop an antibody against the virus. In fact, it would take 2 weeks or more before the initial antibody is developed from the first dose of the vaccine, and the full protection that is given by the vaccine could only be developed 2 weeks or more after the second dose is given. Thus, the necessary caution must still remain. Riza?
Thank you, Greg Gregorio, reporting live from Mandaluyong. Moving on to other headlines, retired Supreme Court Justice Antonio Carpio is leading a coalition of opposition candidates for next year's elections. To give us more details on this, we have with us Marian Enriquez, reporting live from Makati. Marian.
Yes, Riza, Isang Bayan is a pro-democracy coalition aiming to form a unified opposition slate for the 2022 elections. The coalition was launched today and is calling on all Filipinos to choose leaders who will develop good governance. Isambayan aims to form a unified opposition slate with singular presidential, vice presidential, and senatorial candidates for next year's elections. An online survey will be conducted, allowing Filipinos to vote for leaders they want included in the slate. The coalition will then choose based on the candidate's track record, platform, and competence, among others. Isambayan lead convener, retired Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio CARPIO, said that they are currently in talks with Vice President Leni Robredo, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, former Senator Antonio Trillanes, and Senator Nancy Binay, among others. CARPIO clarified that these names are not automatically eyed for presidential position, as they are also filling up posts like vice president and senators. He added that those are just initial names and they are not closing their doors for other nominations. Aside from their own survey, Sambayan will also consider survey results from Pulse Asia and SWS. Some of Isambayan conveners are Justice CARPIO, former Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales, former Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario, and former Education Secretary Brother Armin Luistro. They're stressing the importance of Filipinos uniting to reject all those identified with dictatorship and authoritarianism, those who violate human rights and plunder the government, and those who are responsible for the misery and poverty of the Filipino people. Let's listen to what retired Justice Carpio has to say.
The Filipino people deserve a better government. There are Filipino leaders who can do a much better job of running the government, reviving the economy, creating jobs for our people, and defending our territory and sovereign rights in the West Philippine Sea. We in the Isambayan will search for these Filipino leaders, unite them into one national slate, and present the Filipino people with a clear choice in the May 2022 national elections.
The Isambayan online survey will be up in their FB page in a few weeks. Filipinos are encouraged to take part in choosing who they want to be or who they want to run as the president of the opposition. Riza?
Thank you, Marian Enriquez, reporting live from Makati. Meanwhile, the Health and Transportation Departments once again enjoin the public to follow health and safety protocols to curb the spread of COVID-19. To tell us more about this, Jen Kalimon is joining us on the line. Jen, can you give us a brief rundown of these so-called 7 commandments for commuters and drivers when using public transportation?
Yes, Riza, the Department of Transportation reiterates the health and safety protocols that must be observed by passengers, drivers, and operators of all public utility vehicles. These protocols, Riza, are called 7 commandments. These are wearing of face masks and face shields, refraining from talking and eating while inside the vehicle. There should be enough ventilation inside the vehicle. There should also be frequent disinfection. And commuters with COVID-19 symptoms should not be accommodated. And lastly, appropriate social distancing of 1 feet apart must be observed. Lisa.
Jen, what were the reminders specifically for drivers at this point?
Well, Lisa, ASEC Chief Pastor and ASEC Goddess Hope Ligiran are reminding the drivers and operators that it is their responsibility to ensure that their passengers are safe. Thus, they must really need to follow these safety protocols also to help prevent the spread of transmission. Lisa.
Did the Transportation Department, Jen, announce specific measures that they will implement on their end to combat the virus transmission and to assist the affected drivers and operators?
Riza, as far as enforcement is concerned, the DOTY said that they have given guidance to the operators of PUVs with regard to disinfecting their vehicles. Again, 1 feet apart and the installation of barriers are allowed as long as they disinfect their vehicles regularly. They have also manned traffic marshals to apprehend these non-compliant drivers. Secretary Arto Gade has also ordered the intensified operations to check the compliance of the drivers with the help of IAC. But the DOT are also admitted that they have limited numbers of marshals who can do the inspection of vehicles. Thus, it is very important that drivers and operators themselves strictly follow these protocols. The DOTR is also urging the passengers to get the plate numbers and report any incident of non-compliance of safety protocols in PUVs through LTFRB hotline 1342 or at 0917-550-1342 or 0998-550-1342. Lisa.
Jen, how many routes are still closed to the public, and are there any plans to reopen them?
Lisa, according to the DOTR, they have opened at least 80% routes in NCR. So there are remaining 20% closed routes, which is still in the process of route rationalization. Their focus now is to fix the route and to shorten the travel time to also prevent the transmission of the virus. Lisa.
Finally, how is the DOTR preparing for the upcoming Holy Week observance?
Lisa, the IAC will be conducting a meeting with drivers and operators to discuss the protocols to be followed to ensure the safety of the travelers this coming Holy Week. Since there is no more need to secure a travel authority to PNP, the DOTR is appealing to the travelers to refrain from going outside or traveling if they have symptoms of COVID-19. They also recommended that travelers must first know the protocols in the LGUs of their destination to prepare the needed requirements in advance. Lisa.
Thank you for that report. That's Jen Kalimon reporting live from Malabon. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join Sean Yao later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.